Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today, we have another fascinating guest on this show. We interview celebrities, entrepreneurs, business CEOs, athletes, and artists to find out their path to success, how they're able to overcome challenges and adversity, of course, their keys to success. And today's guest is somebody who's been helping a lot of companies, businesses out there achieve great success. In fact, he's known as the triple threat of transformation when it comes to customer satisfaction, growth, and profitability. He is one of the world's leading authorities when it comes to customer experience and strategy execution. He's helped over 200 corporate transformations worldwide with some of the biggest names out there, from Mercedes-Benz to HSBC to Hewlett-Packard. And he also believes that the greatest key to company change for success is its employees. So he's an expert when it comes to company culture and employee engagement as well. He has written 7 books in regards to business strategies, hundreds of articles for different media outlets, and also been featured on some of the greatest networks out there. So please welcome author, visionary, consultant, and creative change agent, Mr. LIOR ARUSSY.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. Very excited to hear you chat about customer satisfaction, company growth, and all that great stuff. But before we jump into that, I'm always interested as to how a person comes out of school or comes out of childhood and goes, you know what, I want to become this. So how did you get to where you are today?
So very good question. Interestingly enough, oftentimes when I would be, doing my MBA, I would read different type of articles about corporate mistakes and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't understand why they made this mistake. Like, there could have been, it must have been a better thing to do. And then I would read certain op-eds and I'm like, I have a different opinion on that. And I just dared, I remember a year after my MBA, I already submitted my first article to Marketing News, which is one of the top authorities. And I'm like, they accepted it. And I'm like, maybe I have something to say to the world. So I think it has to do with you're seeing some discrepancy between what you are thinking and what the world is thinking, and you're not afraid to go and pursue and see maybe the world will listen to you. So I think it's a natural curiosity, different perspectives of how you look at the world, and just the courage to pursue it. That's how it all starts.
It's one of those things where common sense isn't all that common, and sometimes, what if everybody else is wrong? And what you have is the correct path forward, right?
So I would, if I can build up on your thing, common sense is not uniform. Your common sense and my common sense might be different because we come from different experiences. As I talk in my book, Dare to Author, we live in different stories. So your common sense might be breakthrough thinking for me and vice versa.
Now, when you first realized that a company was doing something like incorrect or not as effective, was it difficult for you to bring that up? Because sometimes they're like, hey, we're very, we're fixed on this format. It's been working for us. Don't fix something that's not broken. And then you come along going, no, you need to change this. You need to upgrade this to make better profits. How difficult is it for you to actually influence change on a company that's been there for a long time?
So, we as human beings and as organizations have a very complex relationship with change. We love change as long as we don't have to change. Okay? And here's what I found out. Whenever you say change to an organization or individual, they equate this with a negative judgment of the past performance. So I actually do not use the word change. I use the word evolution. And I'm saying, hey, whatever you've done until now was the best you could have done based on the available tools and technologies and circumstances and knowledge that you had. And now we're evolving because of a new set of technologies and customer expectations or whatever. So I never threaten people with a bad judgment on the past. But as you said yourself, it's very difficult. And it's difficult because companies are approaching it in the wrong way. And the hardest conversation that I have is CEO will tell me, okay, I want to go in that direction. We're going to do this implementation. And I said, okay, thank you, understood that. I'm going to design a strategy that will focus on Susie from accounting. And he's like, who's Susie from accounting? I said, Susie from accounting is responsible for the strategy execution. And he said, no, she's not. I'm responsible. I said, no, sir. This is what you don't understand. Strategy execution doesn't happen at the top. It happens at the bottom. And if you don't engage your people correctly from the beginning, you're not going to be successful. This is the first thing that we teach them. We're not here for the boardroom. We're here for Susie from accounting and the thousands of employees. And the question is, do they understand it? Do they have the passion for the change? Do they understand how to do the change? Do they feel confident doing the change? And all of these are part of the methodology that we develop. But you have to understand change comes from bottom up, not top bottom. And that's the first lesson that we need to share with them.
Now, it's not every employee, or I mean, not every client is right for you, and you're not right for every business or company out there. And when it comes to, hey, you're coming in with the expertise, with the strategies, and if that CEO or if that manager is like, I don't want to implement this, it's not going to work. How much do you try and go, hey, listen to me, let's test it out, or do you go, you know what? That's fine. I'll go elsewhere, kind of thing. Like,
So let me tell you, you are stepping into such a pet peeve of mine that you have no idea, because I have, I built my consulting business to about 150 consultants with offices in Australia, in Canada, in London, in New York, and I said to all of my people, we are not for everyone, and I need you to find the right match for us, because if we engage with the wrong customers, then it's going to be really disastrous. And I teach the same thing to my clients. Don't pursue every customer. Pursue the ones that are suitable for your business, the ones that are both profitable and appreciate your value, as opposed to everyone. But the problem is, when you're product oriented, on growth oriented, without thinking, you'll pursue the last dollar, and the last dollar is the most expensive. So first and foremost, we will say to our clients, let's date a little bit, let's understand if there is a match from a value standpoint, and so on and so forth. But to your point, there was a clause in our contract that basically stipulates that we can walk away if the client is not executing. We did not want to leave a single client with just a report that nothing happened with. That's our reputation. Our reputation was execution. Our reputation was not, we did a good project. And we've been involved in recalls. We've been involved in mergers and acquisitions. We've been involved in serious crisis of organizations. If the organization and the CEO are not serious about executing, we're not interested. We're not interested in analysis. We're not interested in giving you research. We're interested in driving change within the organization. So we've been very religious about it, to the point, by the way, and this is to your listeners, the last 6 years of the company, we've been growing year over year, and we've been listed in the Inc. 5000 6 years in a row, which is very difficult to achieve. And when Inc. called me and said, how do you do that? I said, I do not set growth targets, because if I set growth targets, they'll pursue the worst deals just to fill in the coffers of the business. I'm not interested in that. I want to do good work, and we'll grow at the pace in which our clients will allow us to grow.
So if you don't focus on growth targets, what are the targets that you do set for your company?
So I am setting profitability targets, and we had a very interesting target. Our target was that every project will result with the champion of that project being promoted.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed to create them to be such a successful individuals within their organization that they will be promoted to the next level. That is the ultimate growth. Start with the internal customers that you have, and how do you delight them to the point that they want to stick with you? And a lot of organizations are focusing on growth, which is bringing new customers. Let me give you an example, okay? So I was speaking at a major insurance company in the US, and they said to me, you know what, because your customer experience, you're going to speak last, because sales is going to be speaking first. And I said, okay. The head of life insurance comes, oh, if we only do this, this, and that, we're going to make another $100 million this year. And everybody clapped, yay. And then the next one is like, if we're only going to do this, this, and that, we're going to grow property insurance by $75 million. Everybody's like, yay. So it was my turn. Clearly, I understood this is a game of whose number is bigger. And I said to them, guys, I've got $2.1 billion with a B. And there was silence in the audience, like, who's this guy and how does he have $2.1 billion? And I said, I checked with your actuaries. You're going to lose 1 million customers this year. It is in the business plan. You're planning that 1 million customers are going to leave you. That is worth to you $2.1 billion. That is more than the $100 million of new business in life insurance. That is more than the $75 million in property insurance. Why are you pursuing new customers when you cannot retain the existing one, and you cannot nurture the existing one? And that is one of those growth elements that companies are always motivating, incentivizing their sales to bring new customers, but they don't think about how do I deepen relationship with the existing customers? How do I make the existing customers not want to go anywhere else? That's where the real money is because you already paid the cost of acquisition.
Exactly. And the thing is to find new customers is 7, 8, 9 times more effort, more cost to actually bring in a new customer or a new client. One of my pet peeves is sometimes working with, those, what do you call it, the cell phone companies or whatnot.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they always have the best deals for attracting new customers. They have cheaper plans and bigger gigabytes and all kinds of stuff. Well, how about me? I've been with you for years and years. So from your perspective, how does a company actually focus more on their current base customers and excite them and really get them to keep on being engaged and buying new plans or buying new products versus finding new customers?
So I'm going to give you and your listeners a simple model to look at where the problem is and how to do that. Take your customer base and segment it based on two dimensions: frequency and profitability, not volume, profitability. When you do that, you'll see that you'll have four segments. At the very upper right-hand side, you'll have the frequent and profitable. These are the customers that they need to focus on. They're frequent, they're profitable, they're paying the bills. Right next to them are the what we call infrequent and profitable. They don't do a lot of business. There might be some potential there, but they're profitable. They're paying the bills. Where does the problem start? They start right at the bottom, which is frequent and unprofitable. In short, the FUs. The FUs are the ones that are sucking your resources, that are sucking your profitability. And what happens is the moment you are serving them, you're taking profitability from the FPs, frequent and profitable, and you sponsor the FUs. So you don't have enough money to focus on the good customers, on the profitable customers, because you're busy with the frequent and unprofitable, with the FUs. And right next to them is the infrequent and unprofitable. So thank God they are not so frequent, but they're still unprofitable. I would say to you that the discipline of moving from volume to profitability is what's going to free up resources for you. And you can then focus on the profitable customers and ask yourself, what else can we do together? How else can we grow together? Definitely the infrequent and profitable is a potential, but the problem starts with the fact that we are so busy with the FUs that we don't have time to focus on the FPs. And I know you're laughing because I know exactly what you're thinking about it. And when I tell that to my customers, they laugh as well. And I will say to them, guys, you know who the FUs are. Why are you entertaining them?
Correct. And I know you use those two words specifically for that so that you could get that point
Well, I don't
across.
know what you're talking about. That's a professional term. I'm sorry. If
It's
people have
me.
other examples, it's a professional term. From now on, believe me, you will never forget what an FU is.
I hope I won't forget that ever. You've worked with some of the biggest company out there from HSBC, Hewlett Packard, and Mercedes-Benz. Do you have any stories that you can share with regards to what did you do to help them with their customer experience or employee engagement? Something that you've implemented or suggested that, wow, made a big change.
So the story of Mercedes-Benz was documented in a book called Driven to Delight. So whatever I'm sharing, it's kind of public knowledge. We were called into Mercedes. It's about at that time 25,000 employees working for 350 dealers. Every dealership is independent, so you can't force people to do that. And our target was to become number one customer satisfaction, which was never done by Mercedes at the time, and to grow the business profitability. So we had two targets that we needed to accomplish, working with 350 disparate dealerships. Everyone is on their own. And you can, if you would have done top bottom, you'll say, okay, I need first this technology and then this process, and we need to change everything, and then we're going to go to the employees. And nobody had the time for that. And the truth of the matter is no change program can wait that way in a sequential way. We went bottom up. And we focused on three things. We ignited the passion for the brand. Mercedes-Benz, by the way, in case you don't know, is the company that invented the car. In 1886, Carl Benz submitted the first patent for the first engine, patent number 37435. Still remember that. So we ignited the passion and invited the employees to be part of the DNA of the company. And the DNA of the company is the best or nothing, okay? Which is like uncompromising standard. No one else can be there. And then we work with employees to literally unlock their humanity. So I'm going to give you an example of a story, okay? We invited employees to start looking at their customers, not just as buyers of cars, but as human beings. So, for example, a customer showed up, snowy day in New Jersey, really big snowstorm. She has a flat tire. The technician is trying to help her, trying to find the tire. He doesn't have the tire in inventory. He calls other stores, nobody has the tire. All the loaner cars are gone, and he sees that she's very stressed. So from a process standpoint, he could very easily just hide behind the process saying, I looked, I don't have any inventory, leave the car here, tough luck. But he sees her as a human being. And he says to her, ma'am, why are you so stressed? And she said, my son has a soccer game, and I promised him to be there, and I want to be there. Now it becomes personal. Still, he doesn't have the tire. But now he's focusing on the power he does have, not the power he doesn't have. And he realizes that the tire exists on a car in the showroom. So he goes to the showroom, removes the tire, install it in her car. She started to cry, saying, no one ever treated me like that. Now, we created 5,000 stories like that in the first year. We activated the power of employees to say, look at your customers from a human standpoint, connect personally, focus on the emotional, focus on the power you do have, not the power you don't have, and miracles are going to happen. This is a simplified way of describing what we've done there, but it's the best example to say, if you really want to start creating true change in the organization, activate the employees and ask yourself, there are usually 3 reasons why they're not ready. Either they don't get the passion for the change, they don't understand why. Performance, they don't understand the new standards, so they think they're doing it already. Or practice, they're afraid to execute, they've never done it, and we didn't give them space to practice before we asked them to go live. So oversimplified, but focus on the people, focus on the humanity. Our rule was always do the human thing first. You cannot go wrong by doing the human thing first.
Awesome. There's 2 things I want to focus on based on that story you gave. And number 1 is you talked about how to ignite the passion within people. Now, I'm one that believes that passion is not something that you could really drive up, or it's either in you or it's not in you. You need to come up with that passion yourself. So how would you suggest somebody to ignite that passion?
Excellent question. So you might have passion for certain things and not passion for other things. If I'll take myself, I don't have passion for cooking. I don't like cooking. I usually end up the one washing the dishes. And for me, it's a great proof that cooking is problematic because I'm the one washing the dishes. But I have passions for speaking. I have passions for writing. So I think, and this is especially with Gen Z today, we tell them, look, first find where your passion is, and then try to find your place within that passion. So you're absolutely right that I cannot create passion for someone that does not have it. But I will tell you, I find a lot of employees who, through cynicism, drove down their passion. So they shut it down. And that's part of the things that I'm talking in my new book, in Dare to Author, is how to let that cynicism out of the system, because it actually kills the passion and therefore kills the enjoyment of what we do. And there are other reasons why, we kind of like not altering the story of our life. But I would say that reigniting passion that was put down by cynicism is something that you can do. Otherwise, if you don't have passion for something, yes, so find where your passion is and be there.
And the other thing you mentioned was about this employee who goes and takes the tire off of another car and puts it onto hers, and that's not commonly done. You've given the power to the employees to act and think on their own for the good of the company. However, there are some people out there who are employees who goes, it's not in the rules, or it's against the rules, or it's stated here that I shouldn't do certain things, but I really want to do this to help the company. And they're conflicted as to, I might get in trouble, I might not get in trouble. It's probably more safer if I don't do it. So for their employers, like the managers and all that kind of stuff, how would you encourage them to help their employees take action?
You're raising an important point. Again, in Dare to Author, we talk about 2 positions: victimhood and victory. Are you the hero of your story? Or are you the victim of your story? For an employee to say, it's not in the rules, therefore I'm not going to do it, that's an employee who's playing victim and is hiding behind the rules. And that's where we need to go and see what the culture of the organization is, and is the culture allowing this to happen or not? Because the story I gave you can never, ever be in a process. We will never have enough processes documented in order to say, if a customer shows up on a snowy day, when you don't have the tire, and then do this. No, 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 no. Organization consists of two things, processes and stories. Story starts when processes are over. Processes can only take you up to a certain point. And then beyond that, that's where you're absolutely right. The question is, would employees hide behind the process, or would they rise up to create the next story? And to create that cultural environment, we need to allow for a variety of things to happen. So in the case of Mercedes, if I go back, we videotape those stories and we share them publicly with all the other dealerships. So by doing that, we created documentation that this type of performance is acceptable, and therefore we created a safety net for the employees who will come and try it next time. So that is one method. In other methods, we look at what is the empowerment that's available to them. Let's say I saw somebody upset. Am I allowed to buy a bouquet of flowers and send them and say, I hope your day will be better? That's a simple question that I ask managers. You know, if your employees are not authorized to buy a $20 bouquet of flowers or $20 box of chocolate and send to an upset customer, then why they're here? If you're not trusting them on $20, what are they doing here? So these are the kind of things that when we do the actual consulting, we'll do an analysis that looks at empowerment, at rules, at leadership activities. I'll give you a very simple one. We found out that the two main drivers for employee retention and impact is, one, I understand the impact that I make on customers, and two, I have the tools and authority to execute my role. And I challenge managers and I say, you know, impact. How much time do you dedicate in staff meetings to talk about the impact that we make on customers? And the answer is none. And yet this is one of the top two drivers. So if you want them not to just stick to processes, inspire them with the impact and remind them that we are here for the people, not for the processes. When you see employees who are defaulting to processes, who are hiding behind processes, who are victims to processes, these are employees that are a product of a company that is defining itself as a set of processes, not a set of people.
That is very, very fascinating stuff, and so important when it comes to company success. Now, when it comes to getting your employees engaged and working as a team and working with management, there's also a fine line between, hey, management, employees, management, and people who work under them. Do they become friends more, or do you have more of a separation as to, no, we're still the managers, we still may need to hire and fire and all that kind of stuff. So there's a fine line as to how much interaction there is between the 2-3 different levels. How would you get the management to engage in some sort of a relationship, but still have a boundary there for them to do what they need to do?
Excellent point. And you know where you see the most problem? First line managers. Yep. Yesterday they were an employee, now they're first line manager, and they don't know what to do. So they think their job is to be friends. Okay? There is a difference between a manager and a leader. So let me go to the leader. Manager basically got a set of KPIs and they will just hammer those KPIs. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. But let's talk about leadership. Is leadership about friendship? The answer is no. Leadership is about respect. People need to respect that you are capable. People need to respect that you'll have their back. People need to respect that you are tasking them with things that are achievable. People need to respect that you will recognize their success. Your job as a leader is to be the safety net while you are inspiring them to get out of their comfort zone and achieve something new. And by the way, the definition of leadership is doing the right thing when you don't know what the right thing is. There is no real recipe for leadership. There's a lot of... So I think that the notion of needing to be their friend, absolutely not. If you want to be their friend, that's okay. But your job is to command respect and do that in an informal way through your actions, not through your title. Because if you're trying to command respect through title, you're really commanding fear. And they'll do so far if they're afraid of you, but they'll do much more if they respect you and they think that you are a leader that they want to follow. Now, let's talk about that for a second. So what we see are really two types of leadership. The old leadership, which is invincible. I know everything. I know what the goals are, and I'm going to tell you. We speak in exclamation marks versus the new leadership, which is more vulnerable, uses stories and question marks and invite people to be part of the journey. When you are an invincible leader, what do you need me for? You already know all the answers. I have nothing to add here. I'm just going to follow whatever you tell me. When you're a vulnerable leader, when you use storytelling, as I talk about it in Dare to Author, then you're inviting them to join you on a journey. You're not portraying that you know everything. You're portraying that you're on a journey with a vision, and you need other people to come and contribute. And you got your superpower, and they got their superpower, and together we'll make this journey much more meaningful and much more successful.
Now, when it comes to different types of leadership, people get to higher ranks of the corporation from learning from their mistakes, learning from failure, and all that kind of stuff. You're somebody who's achieved a lot of great success. Is there something that you can share with regards to your own path, your own journey, or your own company that you go, man, I really screwed up here, and this is what I learned. Here's what I'm gonna do, and achieve greater success because of it.
So I don't know that I have one big screw up, but I think that I have a lot of small screw ups over time. In the book, in Dare to Author, I talk about some of my anxieties. So, for example, the imposter syndrome. For years, the imposter syndrome was paralyzing to me. Okay, I would do great things, and then I would doubt myself, and I would question if I'm the right and capable person to do that because I did not know even the name for the imposter syndrome, and I did not even know how to handle it. So I would give you that as one example where I'm like, this is wrong, and I should have, I should have not let that be the author of my life story. I should have learned how to do that, and I think that I would have been able to do that with a mentor, and that was probably my biggest regret, that I did not get a mentor that to really kind of put a mirror in front of me and challenge me and tell me, hey, this is what needs to be done, and so on and so forth. I kind of went solo on that, went from manager to manager until I was on my own. So I kind of regret that I did not set myself with a mentor that has a couple of years above me and can guide me. That will be one example. And Other than that, nothing major, but life is full of turns that you took a turn to the right instead of to the left, and you just learn from them and move on. And it's just you need to be smarter. But I'll give you one example that today I'm like, I was negotiating a major deal with a major pharmaceutical company in the US, and they said, let's do the proof of concept first, and you do it on your own dime, and then we'll buy it from you. And then it took 2 years to build the proof of concept, and they loved it and they wanted it. And then their legal team found a loophole in the contract that claimed that they own everything that I worked on and they don't need to pay me a dime. This was over $2.5 million deal for me. And I went to my attorneys and we look at it and they said, look, there is that loophole. You can fight it, but it's going to be 2 years and it's going to cost you a lot of money. And the question is it worth your time and money in exchange of the alternative revenue that you can generate? So I would tell you, this is probably one of those moments where I like, it's not right. They are stealing from me, and they know it, and they're using this loophole. And I felt like a failure. I felt like a stupid guy that believed in the concept that I'll have to do this proof of concept and they'll be honest. And they're so big, and I'm like, $2.5 million is peanuts for them, and they knew it. They asked for the price afterwards, and then they decided to do well. So I felt like a loser. I felt like a mistake. I felt like a lot of things. You pick up, you learn. You better believe it. The next contracts were not written that way and did not have those loopholes. But yeah, I left $2.5 million at one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in America who decided to steal my ideas.
Oh, that is, most people go, wow, you lost so much money, but I'm sure because of that lesson, your future contracts has secured you a lot more money in the future.
Huge, yeah, we sometimes, especially when you deal with the big guys, okay, I have to tell you, you need to understand at a certain point, the big guys have much bigger power than you. During 2009, by the way, I got millions of dollars of contracts canceled on a moment notice, and they said, sue us. And they were signed.
Huh.
And you don't have the time to sue them, and you don't have the money to sue them. So when you go into the lines then dealing with those big companies, and you're a small little shop, yeah, there is a risk there. Would I change it? Would I not work with them? Absolutely not. Their brands are amazing, and they help me grow from there. But the risk is there, and you need to know your place, and you definitely don't want to go and waste your time on legal nonsense.
Right. You mentioned the big guys a few times during this segment here. Can you share with us that very first big contract that you've got, and the moment you go, wow, how did I get this? Like, what was that process for you?
So one of the first big ones was FedEx in Europe, and it started with a small workshop that I've done for their customer service team. And within a week, I get a call from the CEO, and he's like, "Are you the guy who was here last week? Blah blah blah." Yeah. What have you done? And I'm like, "What did I do?" I'm like, "I just did a workshop," and I was afraid that the guy is actually gonna, I don't know, reprimand me or something. And he says, "I need you to come here. I want to work on a big project." I'm like, "I've never done that. I've never done FedEx before. I mean, it's in Europe. It's this and that." And it's like, whoa, didn't see that one coming. And that was a moment, it's like, I don't know how to do it, but I'm gonna have to find a way to do it. Um, and we went into kind of like brainstorming mode of how to convert my ideas into, processes. But man, it was scary. It was scary every step of the way, especially because the VP of marketing did not want us to succeed because he was afraid that we'll expose his operation, which we did. They were doing a really lousy job. But man, I mean, we were going back and forth, and I'm like, we're gonna fail. And again, this is the imposter syndrome. We're gonna fail. We're gonna get exposed. Another one was with Honeywell. I was invited to give a lecture. That's all. I gave a lecture. I get a call from them the following week, and they said, "We selected you for the next project." And I'm like, "I didn't provide you anything for my next project. What are you talking about?" They said, "Well, remember that speech that you gave last week?" I said, "Yeah, it was a speech." They said, "Well, this was our way of auditing or auditioning who is going to be, and you were one of four." And I said, "Who are the other four?" And I won't mention them, but because they're much, much bigger than me, including a professor from Harvard. And I said, "And I won." And they said, "Yeah, you got 98% of the votes said that they want to work with you." And I'm like, "Who are the other 2%? What's wrong with them? What did I do wrong there?" But that was another one. I was like, holy smoke. And then listen to this. If you wanna talk about, so the guy finds out that I'm still working from my own garage. Like I don't have an office yet, okay? And he said to me, "We loved you so much, and we want you to be successful. We're gonna give you an office in our headquarter, and you can work here as long as you need until you'll be financially stable to rent your own office." I got my own badge, my own parking badge at the Honeywell headquarter. Man, I had tears in my eyes. I'm like, this guy believes in me, and now I'm gonna work so hard. And I remember at the end of that project, he came to me and he said, "Lior, I need to understand how much you lost on our budget on our project because you clearly did not price it correctly. We have received so much value that we know we didn't really pay for." And I said to him, "You know what? If you feel that way, don't ask me how much I lost. Bring me some more business." And he did. He
Wow.
brought me more clients.
What was Honeywell before or after FedEx?
They were pretty much at the same time.
Wow.
They were pretty much at the same time. One was in Europe, one was in the US. Bear in mind that for FedEx Europe to commit to a consultant from the US with all the flights back and forth, that's expensive. But they did it.
Was it difficult for you to be transparent? Like once they found out, oh, once they hired you, and then you go, yeah, I'm actually working in my garage. Was that difficult for you to kind of express to them, or you were just truthful?
I don't remember how it came about. Definitely not something I volunteered because, one of the things that people always say about me is Lior is punching above his weight. My big competitors, because eventually I was competing against Deloitte and EY and Accenture, and they always say like, "You punch above your weight." And I said, "What is the weight definition? Number of employees or value for clients? Because in number of employees, you're right, but in value for clients, I beat you guys every day." And by the way, when I sold the business in 2018 to private equity, we were ranked by Forrester Research number 3 after McKinsey and Bain and before Accenture, EY, and KPMG and Deloitte in business transformation execution. So I'm like, guys, the analysts are saying I'm winning. Inc. 5000 is showing I'm winning. I'm on the list of the top consulting firms by Consulting Magazine. I'm winning by the factors that are important, not number of employees, not expenses. I'm winning by creating value and clients appreciating that.
So was it at that point where imposter syndrome never existed, or how did you overcome that imposter syndrome?
So I'll tell you what I did, and I'm writing about it in Dare to Author, and anybody who wants to overcome that, please read that. So I'm also talking in Dare to Author about a syndrome that I'm terming as the gratitude denial syndrome. Here's what happens, Fong. Every time somebody gives you a good compliment or tell you you've done a good job, you will do one of 3 things. You'll either dismiss it, or you'll either belittle it, or you'll either downplay it. Say, oh, no, it wasn't so difficult. Oh, no, it didn't take me that long. Oh, no, that presentation was so... No, man. What I found out is that when we do that, we rob ourselves of the energy that can help us deal with imposter syndrome and doubts and anxiety. Our successes is the refuel that we need in order to go further. So what I started to do is I started to save all these thank you notes, and in days where I have the worst times, I'll read them. And they will remind me that today is just one day. It's not who I am. And there were other days where I was at the top. There were other days that I made a difference on people's lives. There were other days that we created value, and I need to connect to those days. So what I did is I have in my Outlook a special folder called Thank Yous, and that's where all those notes comes, and I don't belittle them anymore, and I don't dismiss them, and I just say thank you to people. And those notes remind me that I do have the power, and if I am facing a certain challenge, I'll face it with action, not with anxiety and paralysis. But it took some time to learn that really the power to counter the imposter syndrome is in those compliments and feedback that we are getting. But because we are suffering from a gratitude denial syndrome, we dismiss them and we rob ourselves of the future energy.
That's like your power up folder.
That's it. That's exactly it.
That is awesome. You mentioned before that one of your so-called failures is not having that mentor around you and those successful people around you. I'm going to assume that you now have mentors, collaborators, people that you have a soundboard with and whatnot. What was something that somebody else said to you that you were doing for a long, long time and only realized because somebody said to you that you had to change or adjust?
So this one I'm going to give you, it's going to sound to you a little bit bizarre, okay?
Bizarre is the best ones.
Yeah. For years, I hated when people told me that I inspire them. I hated that. And I'll tell you why. Because for me, for years, I equated inspiration with very shallow intervention that will be forgotten. It's like one out of body experience that you'll forget tomorrow. I thought about some charlatan speakers that comes and promise you 5 steps to happiness within 30 seconds if you only buy my letter. I had a very bad relationship with the word inspire, and I hated when people said it to me. And therefore, I tried to create content that was much more rational, much more data-driven. I did not want to be that inspiration guy. Okay, I wanted to be the one that comes with effects. And then one person said to me, it was an interesting thing. It was actually a crew that was recording a full-day workshop that I did. And I spoke to the head photographer, and I said, so how was it? And whatever. He said, hey, man, this is not a workshop. This is a come to Jesus. You're the chief priest. This was a religious experience. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, did you ever hear yourself? Did you hear how people listen to you? Did you ever see how they interact and how they follow you? That's not a business discussion. They're looking for inspiration. They're looking for motivation. And we had a heart-to-heart. I remember where we were. It was in Southern California. We're sitting there by the fire at the resort. And he helped me understand that inspiration can be very deep and very meaningful and can last. And it's not one of those quick joke that you'll forget tomorrow, or quick comment or quip that you'll forget tomorrow. And it came from an unexpected source, the photographer who was videotaping my workshop. But I tend to listen to everyone because you never know where the common sense will come from. And that's when I started to change my perspective on the word inspiration, and my content started to change to be more on the emotional side and the story side than it was on the business and fact side.
Did you find that when you made that change that you were actually getting more engagement and more clients?
I think that eventually I had to accept, and this is the reality. I have clients calling me 14 years after they worked with me. Okay, I just did a project. I have people who remember stories that I told from 10, 15 years ago, which is very uncommon. Okay, most of the speeches we heard, we forgot. And people can quote me at the level of the joke, at the level of the example. So, yes, I'm finding that I'm leaving a greater mark, and this helped me open up more, even in the last book, in Dare to Author, where I open up to my own personal experiences, because the previous books were all business facts. You wouldn't find LIOR there. You'll find LIOR's professional experience there. And this one it permitted me to open up because I saw the impact that it creates.
Well, you mentioned your book a few times. Share with us how did you come about to starting that book? How can people also get that book as well? And then also you have what, six other books as well, so.
I have, yeah, this is actually the 10th book. Yes. This book was born in a very strange way, actually. If you love stories, here it is. I was preparing a presentation for an insurance company, and 30 days before the presentation, I was planning to share it with the CEO, whom I've known in the past because I worked with him. And he goes on a call with me and several vice presidents who already approved the content. It was all about innovation prioritization. And he said to me, "Lior, we're not going to talk about innovation prioritization. You're going to talk about your next book." I'm like, "There's no next book." "Yes, there is." "No, there isn't." "Yes, there is." "Lior, you're going to talk about my next book, your next book." I'm like, "Ben, it's in 30 days from now. Okay, I don't have time for a next book right now." He said, "You're going to talk about your next book." So I threatened him. I said, "Ben, I'm going to bring Winnie the Pooh and I'm going to read it for 90 minutes. And he said, "If you want to read me Winnie the Pooh, I'm sure I'm going to learn something new from you. Go ahead, hang up the phone. Goodbye." And I look at the other VPs like, "What just happened?" And they are looking at me like, "We don't know." So Ben challenged me. And within 30 days, I created the nucleus of what today is Dare to Author. And if you want to talk about getting feedback from others, this is the ultimate one. I did not know that I'm here to author this story, but the story was authored. So the book is available on Amazon. People can find more information on liorarussy.com. But please give it to yourself and give it to someone you love, because it's going to change the way you look at your life, and you're going to start authoring the story of your life, professionally or personally, as opposed to have it being authored to you. So the real question the book is raising is, in the story of your life, are you the hero or are you the victim? And my argument is, if you're not conscientiously authoring the story of your life, you're the victim.
That is awesome. I love that story, and recommend everybody to pick up that book. I also am really, really hoping that throughout that book, you did share that story about how you became
Yes,
the author of
yes.
that book, that you mentioned about the Winnie the Pooh joke. Now, I'm really hoping there's a link where it goes to a YouTube video of you actually reading Winnie the Pooh.
That's actually not a bad idea. I will consider doing that. I did not think about it, but I may do that. But what you will find in the book, every chapter has prompt questions to help people deal with the content and apply it to themselves. So the book is not just a book, it's also kind of a guidebook. And people who read it said to me, "This is something I'm going to read once a year." They actually flipped a lot of pages and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of relevance, of repeated relevance, and the prompt questions are helping people kind of deal with the content and applying it to themselves.
That is awesome. Like I said, I'm gonna wait for that link. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up our formal portion here, and that is okay. Three keys to customer satisfaction.
3 keys to customer satisfaction. First, ask questions that they're not expecting. So you understand the emotional need, not the rational need. We all try to fulfill the rational need, not the emotional need. So make sure that you do that. Second, focus on the power you do have. Even your CEO have power that they have and power that they don't have. If you focus on the power you do have, you'll be able to amaze them. And third, try to create a memory, not just a solution. Memory is what they'll keep with them for a long time and will share with others. Transaction is just that.
Those wow experiences.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Three keys to employee engagement.
Trick is to employee engagement. First and foremost, make sure that they're passionate about what you do. If they don't, please don't hire them. It doesn't matter if they have the skills or not. Second thing is empower them to actually reach beyond their expectations. Find out what they think their limits are and inspire them to do that. And third is reward the heck out of it, not in a cheap way, but in an inspiring way.
One life message that Lior would like to give to everybody in the world.
Stop living life as a victim and start leading your life and be the hero of your story. Start authoring your life story.
That is awesome. Now, that's the formal part. I got 5 quick rapid fire questions for you. Give me the first thing comes to mind. Now,
Sure.
I say this question all the time, and I have a guess as to what your answer is going to be, but I'll give it anyways. You're stranded
Okay.
on a deserted island. One food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence.
Okay. So deserted island, where would I want to go? That's your
Oh,
question.
one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. So you'll still be healthy, you'll still be in shape, but you can eat this item all the time.
Cheesecake.
I thought you're a chocoholic.
I am chocoholic, but cheesecake is also
Oh,
one of them.
so
Yes.
chocolate cheesecake. How about
Yes.
that? Hollywood calls and go, "Hey, Lior, we love your story. You're so motivational. You've achieved so much great success. We would love to do a biopic of you. Who would you cast to play you?"
Ooh, that's a good question. I never thought about this question, but from a character standpoint, it's definitely not going to be Seth Rogen. Let's start with that. I don't think that's going to be Seth Rogen. I would probably, I would go with, I'll tell you why in a minute. He played in Up in the Air. He was that executive that was flying everywhere and getting all these miles and stuff like that. The name will come to me in a second. But he probably will be the George Clooney.
Okay.
Yeah.
So George Clooney shows up at your door and goes, "Hey, Lior, buddy, I got cast to play you. I want to get to know you. Let's go out." And you, "Hey, George, no problem. I have the whole night planned out. What does that night look like?"
What's the night's gonna look like? We're gonna start probably at a high power building in New York City, maybe the Centurion Club. Look at the city, look at the power of the city, and understand that we're responsible for the people in this power play. So understanding the balance of power and that. I'm not gonna take him to a club, but I'm probably gonna go to an airport and look at people who are traveling for business and understand what drives them and why. Because we are all in movement when we are creating change. So that's the best place that I would find in order to discuss that as well. And then I'll go and visit people who are finishing their shift early in the morning. They're the hardest workers out there. Again, I'm still in New York City, and I want to talk to them about what motivates them.
Awesome. Now, normally I ask a cooking question, but knowing that you hate cooking with passion, I need to swap that around. So,
No problem.
what sport is your favorite?
I'm going between two. Formula One is absolutely an obsession of mine. I just came back from the Formula One
Oh
Las
yeah,
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And I would say probably soccer.
Okay, so soccer, there's how many players on the team? 13?
11.
11.
11.
Oh, wow, that's a lot. Okay, so pick 5 random people that you would love to be on the same team as you. Any
That's a
person.
hard one. That's a hard one. I'm gonna challenge you on that. So Daniel Perez from Bayern München as a goalie. I definitely would love to be there. My daughter, who's playing professional soccer, Dalia. So I definitely want to be with her on the field. Um, I'm less of an Mbappe or Ronaldo kind of a guy, and I would actually like to see the up and coming players at some of the top teams because I think they're the most promising and most exciting.
Awesome. Give me a number from 1 to 5.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. So the word is turtleneck. Now, if you had to
Ooh,
use turtleneck as a metaphor for success, how is success like a turtleneck?
Steve Jobs.
Nicely done. Nice, quick, and simple.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your stories, your tips, and your time. Much appreciated. I learned a lot from this. Any final words from you?
Um, as it's a journey, guys, and we forget to enjoy the journey. We forget to celebrate the milestones. We are all chasing destinations and goals and think that we'll be happy when we'll get to those goals. Think again. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the moments, and create milestones of success for yourself.
Awesome. And best way for people to contact you?
LIORARUSSY.com or my LinkedIn.
Great, awesome. So everybody make sure you get in touch with LIOR and also pick up his book, Dare to Author. If it has a whole bunch of stories like the one that he shared today, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing book. So I look forward to reading that. And again, I look forward to hearing you read Winnie the Pooh. So for
Well,
everybody else, LIOR, Fong, until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.